Okay, so obviously there was a wee ripple of laughter earlier when I mentioned it was a Michael Jackson song that we were using. But we're just going to interest in this first little section here, okay, which is the groove. Okay, up to that point, so we don't need to concern ourselves with anything else in the track. It is impossible to get a sort of solid instrumental loop at the rest of the track because he sings over pretty much everything. But thankfully we've got this wee bit at the start where the drums are. So what I'm going to do is just loop that round. Now the first shortcut is tab to transient. Okay, so a transient element in an audio file is a point where we've got lots and lots of attack and very, very little release. So that would be a transient element right there at the start. As you can see, we've got our kick and snare. So we're able to use the tab function on the computer, on the keyboard, which is just above caps lock. Looks like that. The shortcut is tab to transient. So as I hit each of the tabs, it's going to then allow me just to get right in close to the start of each hit there. So when I'm creating loops, I need to make sure that I don't have any external or spare audio each side of the loop, because that's obviously going to throw my timing. When it loops round, I want it to be spot on. So I can tab along, and as you can see, it goes to the start of each transient part of the waveform. So I'm going to create just a little loop, and I'm going to try and find out what tempo it is. Okay, so I'm going to start here, and if I hold in shift while I tab along, I can select. And of course, if you look up at the ruler there at the top, that shaded area is my loop window, okay, my start and end point in between these two broken blue arrows. Okay, so I'm going to tap the tempo on this website. Let's just get rid of all these. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So about 78 BPM, 77, 78, let's go for 78. Now I've already changed the tempo in here to 78 beats per minute. I don't know why I'm standing up. So yeah, 78 beats per minute. So now that I've tapped that in, I can change the tempo in my session. Anybody remember how to change the tempo? What the shortcut is? Don't worry about it. Alt plus keypad to, so if you see a square around the number in any Pro Tools shortcuts, it means you're over on the number pad at the right hand side. Okay, so this is to change tempo. Of course, you could just, if you're in the mood, just click on the little tempo button up here that says 78, but we'll use my shortcuts. Okay, so I've got 78 beats per minute. That means it's pretty close to the tempo that's there, but it's still a wee bit out, modulated slightly, so I need to stretch this particular little clip that I'm about to isolate into time, so that every time it loops round, I've got it right on the button. Okay, so let's tab along to the very first note. I'm going to split the audio here, the clip, so I've got a nice starting point. So to create a clip, or to create a cut on the clip, I do Command plus, anybody remember? E for edit, okay, and this cuts the clip, cut clip, or splits the clip, whatever you want to think about it. So Command and E, and as you can see there, it creates a little cut. And now if I use my grabber tool, when I select that, the starting point is right at the where I want it to be. Okay, so I'm just going to move that back so that this bit's right at the start of the bar. Okay, let's give it a listen. So you can see here just from looking at it, I'm not sure how well the resolution is there, but if you look at the divisions of the grid, 1, 2, 3, 4, you can see it's quite close to where it needs to be. So we are close, but as the track goes on, it starts to drift from that original tempo. So what I need to do is select a little solid loop in here. Let's give it a listen. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. So there's the start of the next bar. So I'm going to just tab along to it and again make my cut. Let's give it a wee listen then. So with loop playback on, I'm just going to take that off a little second. With loop playback on, just right click on your play button and then go to loop. You'll see that wee thing appears down here. Just going to hit play and see if it sounds okay as it loops around. cool. It's a really nice solid loop that we've got there. So what I'm going to do is, just to keep my session nice and tidy, I am going to create a new stereo audio track. Okay, remember, shortcut for new tracks is Command plus Shift plus N for new tracks. So rather than try and work in this one audio track up here and all that sort of stuff, I might want to come back to that later on, so I'm just going to leave it untouched for the time being. Okay, so I want to drag it down now into this new audio comp, so I'm going to call it Groove 1. So I could just drag it down like that, and then it moves it down in time and in the same place, but I like to keep my entire audio clip at the top here. It's just a neater way of working. So if I hold in Alt and drag, it creates a copy. Okay, so Alt and drag creates a copy. Now that's the same for pretty much across the board. If you've got a plugin, for instance, I'll show you this quickly, like the click track, and you want to copy it across onto another one, you just hold in Alt and you drag it, and it moves it in. So it saves you a wee bit of time going in here every time and trying to activate a plugin. Okay, let me just mute the original track there and minimise it. So this is the new one. So if I zoom right in here, this is where I want it to exist within this full bar here. If I zoom into the start of bar 2, you can see that it overhangs a little bit. So what I need to do is squish this audio so that it fits as it is all into that bar here. And it's dead easy to do it. So if I was to bring in a click track and give it a wee listen, you'll hear that it's close, but it starts to drop off. Okay, so it's a wee bit untidy, and if I was just to loop that here, just by doing Command and D, just to duplicate that over and over, by the time I get to maybe the 5th or 6th loop, you can see that we're starting to really drift from the original tempo. We want that to start here, but of course it's now starting after the bar. So let's use this little tool. So it's called Time Compression and Expansion, or TCE. Time Compression, Expansion. Okay, and on some of your keyboards, it's the F keys at the top here will actually change what the mouse functions, and these are all the mouse functions up here. I can't remember if you're able to change what the keyboard does on these machines or not, but if you hold in Function or FN and then, use your F keys, you can toggle, see up there? You can toggle through the functions of the mouse. Now the time compression expansion tool is underneath the little cropper or trimmer tool here. So we could keep it standard, which means we can just crop the audio as it is. We could loop it, which means if we just drag it out, it'll create loops every time, quite a useful tool. Or we can do time compression expansion, so it's going to keep this entire performance. So there's one full bar of percussion in there, and as I pull it back, it's just going to squish it into time. Think of it as an elastic band. It doesn't matter if you stretch it or crush it up into a ball, it still has the same amount of elastic band in there. Okay, I'm just going to pull this back, and now we can see that everything is starting to look pretty awesome. Okay, let's give it a listen with the click track and see how it loops round. Spot on. Just working with that siren as well. Just pure jamming with nature. Okay, that's like that Burleson sketch actually, isn't it? Okay, I know you're all thinking, Brian, why don't you have a master fader in this? So sorry about that. There you go, you should always have a master fader, and it remains at 0. Okay, so everything else moves around about that actual setting in there. Cool beans. Okay, so now we're at a nice point where we can start to create nice little loops. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. That's one bar, and I want 16 of them. So I could do Command and D, which is just going to throw in a duplicate of the clip straight after it, and I could do that 15 times to give them a 16 loops. But it's a bit clunky. Okay, so Command D could be an option for you. I prefer Alt and R, number of repeats. Okay, and then that space here, up here. Alt plus R is number of repeats. So as long as you've got a nice tidy groove in there, which I do, then I can repeat this 15 times to give me a total of 16 bars. Cool, there we go. Now I've got my 16 bar loop. I'm going to start building up a track on top of this. So this is basically what happens if you are creating beats for an MC. You don't have to give them 8 minutes of music, you can give them bars and they can get into their DAW and just arrange them as they like. It's relatively lucrative and very straightforward to do as well. So this is very quickly building up our groove. Good, so I've got my basic fundamental backbeat here. Just take the click away. Lovely analog sound, big boxy kicks, that nice artificial reverb that was obviously added later, but it's got this lovely analog vibe to it. So far, so good. Now what I want to do is bring in some percussive elements to it. I'm going to bring in some shakers and some tambourines just to add some texture and some character to the track in here. So I want to import audio. Let's forget what it is. Command Shift and I. So Command plus Shift plus I is import audio. And on your desktops you'll have a folder. You should have a folder called Audio Loops and Sound Effects, okay, and it's got about 8 gigabytes of samples, music samples, drum samples, every kind of sample in there. So you can really start to use these high quality recordings to create your new track. Okay, so Command Shift and I, import audio. If I go to my desktop, in fact it means I'll probably save in my documents. It should be on your desktop. Let's have a wee look. Name. Audio Loops and Sound Effects. Okay, so I'm going to get into hip hop and I'm looking for some sort of percussion. There we go. Percussion, shaker. Okay, now you can see there's a number before any of these clips. That's the tempo. Now our tempo is at 78, and as you can see in here, the slowest we've got to work with here is 80 beats per minute. So we're going to have to do that time compression expansion once we get the audio into Pro Tools, okay? So let's try and find something that's going to work. If I just click on it and then hit play, just check my output, then I can listen to it. Need something a wee bit straighter. That might work actually, so I'm going to copy that in, which is going to move it from the desktop folder into my session folder for Pro Tools. Let's just give this. Yep. Have a new. Cool. Go back and let's go into tambourines and see what we've got in here. Okay, let's give it a wee second.
Is this a test?
Yeah, that's alright. This is a test, very loud one.
Yeah, it's definitely mine goes off on Friday. For the week at 10, it's like fuck. Mine goes off on Tuesday at 10. You should be in college, right? But yeah, usually. Yeah. I know if I'm Sky, then I get mailed through at 10 or 11. I don't know.
Nice one on the video. Okay, so yeah, we hit copy, and copy is really important because if we don't hit copy, then the audio file remains in this audio folder elsewhere on the computer. So you always have to hit copy or convert. Never hit add because it remains where it is, and it means if you take your Pro Tools session and move it to anywhere else, it doesn't take the audio with it, okay, because it's saved in another folder. By hitting copy, It takes it from whatever folder it was saved in and moves it into the audio files folder associated with this session, and that does the back and forth with the actual Pro Tools software itself. So hit copy, then click done, and this is where I have the opportunity to hit open. So you can see here it says choose a destination folder. So by hitting open, I am selecting this audio files folder for this session. And then it copies it in, I click OK, and I now put it on a new track. But as we can see, the tempos are all over the place because the audio files are all over the place because the tempo is incorrect. So I'm very quickly just going to knock these into time. So first of all, I select my starting point, so I move them to where I want them all to start. So you can see that those that are slightly faster than the tempo of the track are coming in before the start of the next bar. This should be a 2-bar loop. Let's give it a wee listen. 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. Sweet. Okay, so time compression expansion goes on, and I just stretch it out. Same for the next one. And down here, this one's at 95. Let's count how many bars we've got here. 2, 3, 4, 2. So 4 bars here. 3. Oh, and then 4 coming in there as well. So I need to stretch this over 4 bars. So this is getting significantly slowed down now from 95 beats per minute to 78. So I need to count my bars. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just looking at these thick blue lines, and then drag it out like that. Okay, let's give this a listen and see if it's in time. Cool. Wee bit loose, but that might actually work for us. Okay, I'm going to pan some things around. Pan that all the way to the left, all the way to the right. What's this last one? I'm just going to throw that right down the middle. Okay, don't need to worry too much about the tempo or the mix at this point. So I want to expand these and just loop these across so that they last the 16 bars as well. So I could use again Command and D. Now I've got nice loops. I could use Alt R, or I could actually use the loop function up here as well, just to drag that out. Okay, so it just keeps that loop that's there and then repeats it. Nice one. So I've got my nice 16-bar loop. The last thing I want to do is just to tidy up my session is go to this initial track, right click on it, and then hide and make inactive. Now it is still there. I can show it just by clicking on the track name up here. But because it's made inactive, it removes the audio from the RAM memory and frees up any processing power getting used to actually play that. Cool. So here we go. We've got our 16-bar loop here. And everything's in time. I always like to go at the end of my section and just check and see that it's not moved out of time. Cool. Okay. Anybody got any questions? I know I rattled through that pretty quickly, but generally speaking, there's not too much to it. You just need to sit right in front of you, utilise these shortcuts, and then move things around. You know, I guess what usually happens is everyone's quite comfortable up to a point, and then maybe something gets moved slightly out of time, and 16 bars later, it's a pure nightmare. But you should be okay with it. As I said, I've got